The name of the show is The Way to Go. My name is Alan Bendich. I'm going to be your host. Tonight's guest is Danielle, Nicolette, Najarian. Welcome to the show. She's a producer, actress, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so another friend of JT, right?
Yes, a very old friend.
So how did you meet JT?
I met JT when I first started out in New York, working as a backup dancer and actress, and I think he was building and establishing his company at that time. So we crossed paths, and he was starting out, I was starting out, and here we are. What is it, 15, 20 years later, something like that?
So, and did you do any work with him? So you're an actress, right?
Yes.
Did you work with him back in the day, or?
I did. We worked a little bit on a couple things back then, and then I lost touch with him because I had went out to LA and stuff like that.
So you went to LA, right? Mm-hmm. So when you first went out to LA, did you know people out there, or
no?
No.
I never even flew to LA or visited LA before I went. Ever since I was little, I always kind of dreamt about living by palm trees and living in California, and right when I graduated college, soon after I was in a band, toured in that band for a little bit.
Cool.
And then I went out to California with a one-way ticket and a bag of clothes.
Yeah, I did the same. I actually took a bus.
Oh, wow.
$300 in my pocket. And again, I went on I thought I was going on vacation, and I stayed there for 8 years. So you got out there.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
Oh gosh. Well, it's kind of an interesting story how it came about. For many years, I started out as an actress when I was in grade school, and it terrified me to be on stage. It was something that I did not want. A lot of kids, they want to be, the center of attention. They just, they want to stand out. And I didn't really want the attention. I just enjoyed being with people and socializing and interacting with people. And my teachers really couldn't get me to sit down in class. So because of that, they're like, okay, let's put her on stage, maybe she'll do something there. And it came naturally to me. But I was always terrified of the audiences and, the people staring at you and they're waiting for you to do something, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
So did you have stage fright? Is that it?
I did, very bad.
I did too. I have no problem with cameras, but once I'm on stage, my knees actually start shaking.
Yeah, I used to, without fail, it was almost like a routine. Instead of being in a dressing room, I was literally in the bathroom.
Oh, wow.
Before every performance, I would be nauseous and I would be shaking, and they'd be like, where's Danielle? Check the bathroom. She's probably in the bathroom. But when I would get on stage, it was so interesting how, I would just embody the characters. It would just come out of me, and I didn't really think about it. I don't know what that was attributed to, but I loved it. I loved it.
So how did you transition from acting on a stage and dancing to film?
It's kind of interesting. The acting on stage kind of came naturally to me. When it came to the cameras, I just, took a lot of classes and understood, the camera for what it was, the lens, and all the details about it, that it's really just, highlighting who you are. You don't really have to do much more than that. So it's been an interesting journey to transition, but I enjoy it a lot more because it's more true to life and real.
I guess with on a stage, you have to exaggerate some of your movements, whereas with the film, which I still haven't been able to master, you're supposed to be a little bit more subtle with the movements of your face and your body and stuff like that.
Yes, and I think because of that, I tend to have a little bit of a Disney face. A couple of my instructors were like, "You've got great, facial expressions for comedy and blah blah blah," but when it comes down to drama, it's like you got to really control.
So you get to Hollywood, or did you get to Hollywood? Is that where you went to initially?
I did. I actually started out in Beverly Hills adjacent, and I was all excited because you hear Beverly Hills and you're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna live in Beverly Hills, but it's adjacent, so it's a little different.
Right.
But it was amazing. I was very blessed to have come across a gentleman who was an actor that was already out there, and he was the son of a husband and wife team that I was counseling when I got out of college. I have a degree in psychology. So right when I graduated, I started working for a physical therapist, and people would come in and they would talk about traumatic events that they'd been in, and there was a form of biofeedback that we had done to help them relax and to help them kind of get out of that trauma. And so while we were in there, my patients would talk to me and they would confide in me and share things that they, were traumatic. And one of the things that this husband and wife shared was that they had had a son who lived in California and was actor, you know, and here I am in my lab coat.
That's traumatic. That is traumatic. Oh no, my son's an actor.
It was traumatic for me because I'm in my lab coat and I'm trying to hide out, you know, with my degree behind me on the wall, and I'm like listening to them talk, and I'm like, oh my God, stop with the acting, because I wasn't thinking about it at that time. Right. You know, I for a while there, it's always been something I've done, but when I went for my degree, I was really given that 100%. So it just kept pulling at my heartstrings, hearing about this, you know, gentleman that was out there. And they're like, you can go and stay with him and, you know, crash on his couch. He'll treat you like a family member. And he was great.
That's great.
They were a Macedonian family, and they were very family oriented. Right. And I went out there, and he became like my brother.
Cool.
I started out on his couch, and he introduced me to doing, you know, background work, and worked my way up from there.
So what was the first show you did?
Oh my goodness. My first show that I was doing background work on?
Yes, exactly. The first one you did.
Oh, there were so many. I would have to say probably House.
Oh, that was my favorite show.
NCIS and JAG.
I'll tell you, my favorite show was House. I love that. So you were on House.
Yes.
Awesome.
Yes.
Which episode? Do you remember which episode?
I don't remember, but I do remember that when, you know, a lot of times when you would do extra work, you'd come on for one show, right, and, you know, you would do it and go home, and that would be it. But for some reason, the shows I was working on, every so often they would ask me to commit to the show, and can you be our reoccurring, you know, doctor in House, or can you be our reoccurring receptionist at, you know, JAG or NCIS? Right. And so that kept happening, and so I started working on like one show consecutively. Right. So.
And that kind of happened with me, because I started off as an extra on Cagney and Lacey, and then you know, all of a sudden I got upgraded. So then they kept me on. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So it is awesome. So when was your big break?
Wow. Okay, my big break with acting was when I was working on the television show Private Practice, and they had originally called me in. I think they called me in to be a nurse, and then all of a sudden they were like, we would like you to come back, but we want you to come back as the receptionist, because now the receptionist, which was Dell, had moved up to becoming one of the, you know, the doctors on the practice, so he wasn't behind the desk anymore. And so I had replaced him. And from that moment on, they asked me to commit to the show. Can you commit to us? Can you give us, you know, all of your time and you know, your schedule, and keep your schedule open to us as our extra on the show? I said, yeah, sure. And one thing led to another, and I think it was only like a month or two after I had committed and given them, you know, my schedule completely, that they wound up giving me lines. Right.
Well, you know, I'd love to see that. Wouldn't you love to share that with people out there?
Yes, I would.
Okay, you know, so let's take a look at this.
Oh my God.
This clip. This is going to be great. Okay, so this is Danielle, Nicolette, Najarian.
What jury is going to convict him for that?
Dr. Montgomery, these came for you.
Is Dr. Montgomery in?
She's at the hospital. She should be back soon.
Can you tell her that Patty stopped by?
My mother has not eaten in 24 hours. She's starving. The food here is terrible. I brought her food from home, food that she likes.
Does that look okay? Is it all right? Lipstick on my teeth? Okay. Don't worry, Mama. Soon, we'll get you better and we'll take you home, okay? And you can rest.
Thank God you're here, Tanya.
Rose seems like she's a good nurse.
Yes.
You'll be okay. I don't understand. Of all the time that I've been here, there's never been a boardroom meeting this early in the morning. It doesn't make any sense. The only person that I saw leave this room was Tammy. She is not going to a center. Those places are terrible. My tia Juanita died in one of those places, and my cousin never forgave herself for not bringing her home with her.
How did it look? Did it look okay? Brian, I did not sleep with you for nothing to get this job. Tell me if I look good. Oh, we're still shooting? Sorry.
Oh, Miguel, what if they're right? What if Mama won't be safe at home?
Look how much she's already improved. We just have to make sure that the kids know to be gentle with her, that's all.
Okay. We have to warn them about the way she talks. I don't want them to be scared. I'm scared enough for all of us right now.
I know, baby.
That was awesome. That was excellent. It was funny. I like your microphone style. That was fantastic. What was that from?
Oh, the comedic part of the reel?
Yes.
That was actually from a horror movie where I played a reporter who was way too into herself than the news. And
do you die in the movie or no?
No, I don't die in the movie, but yeah.
So it was awesome. I mean, to work on an ABC production.
Yes, yes.
What time was your call time? I'm curious.
Oh my goodness, it varied. Every day it was different, but it was mostly in the morning. Sometimes before the sun would come up, you could be anywhere from 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 8 a.m. It just depends.
I remember when I worked on Cagney and Lacey, Tyne and Sharon used to come in at 5 o'clock in the morning, and they'd be like, "Ew," but then after makeup and hair, they were gorgeous.
Yeah, I used to ride my bike to set because it was so beautiful out there, and I didn't have to worry about my makeup.
Where was the studio?
It was Raleigh Studios in Hollywood. It was right off of, I think, Melrose.
Melrose.
Yeah.
That's it. Wow. I miss those days desperately.
I know, and I miss being able to ride my bike to the set.
So did you stay with your friend the entire time that you were in LA?
No, actually, I was only there for about maybe 3 or 4 weeks, and I found a small little guest house right around the corner from them. I stayed close to them because they were all I knew out there. I didn't have family, I never visited or anything, so. So I started out there, stayed there for about a year or two, and then I moved right to the center of Hollywood, not too far from the studio, so I could ride my bike there.
Right, and I lived in Hollywood too. It was like so much fun.
Yeah.
So while you were in Hollywood, did you take more classes? Or
Yes, I did. Yes, I was constantly studying. I worked with Howard Fine, Aaron Spicer, the SAG Conservatory, just to kind of keep up on things. But yeah, I was constantly studying out there, and dancing too. I was still dancing out there.
Did you do movies at all when you were out there?
I found myself doing a lot more television.
Yeah, television. That's
movies. Yeah.
I did a lot of movies, but mostly television when I was
Yes.
Right. And I missed doing Spinal Tap because I was working on Cagney and Lacey. I could have been in Spinal Tap.
Oh,
Can you imagine
wow.
Spinal Tap?
I don't know, but Cagney and Lacey's pretty legendary.
But Spinal Tap is like, that's like classic.
I know.
Yeah. So when did you stop producing? Did you stop producing out there, or did you stop producing here?
I was still living out there, but I had come home for the holidays, and when I had hiatus on the show, I would come back here to the East Coast, and I would stay with my family, and I would just meet up with some friends who were filmmakers at the time, and we just got together, and I started like throwing short films together with them, and that's how I learned how to edit, and I learned how to produce my own stuff. And it just started happening without even thinking about it.
So how many people did you have in your crew? I'm curious.
Okay, well, it depends on what set, but for the most part, it was a small crew, skeleton crew. I didn't need a lot of people. The guys I worked with were very talented, so so we were a great team. But I would say maybe about 4 of us in total.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you directed, or did you?
I directed, I wrote
Wow.
the shorts and the screenplays, and I also edited.
Did you submit any to film festivals or anything?
No, I never did. I never got around to that because, again, it was a short period of time of just being on hiatus and, making these films and doing it because I loved it, and then going right back to Hollywood and going right back to work.
Do you think you'll ever do that? Or?
I think so, actually. I am working on something right now.
That's cool. So it's great. I love, I'm working on short films too, so it's a lot of fun. I mean, to me, that's, and I have a very small crew. I have like 3 people.
Yeah. Sometimes it's best like that,
And 2 of them are working here tonight, which is great.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, we have Andrew, and we have Matt, and Jim. Jim's my editor, and he directs as well as I do on my shows. So,
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So where do you get, when you do casting, I mean, are they people you know primarily, or do you go out and do casting calls?
Well, I've done both. It's, either if I create a story that I know someone would be really good for, or if they inspire me to kind of write that character a certain way, then yes, I'll definitely, share that with them first. But and then we also do the auditions and stuff like that because we want to, see what's out there.
So what gives you? I mean, I know it all gives you pleasure. Right? But what gives you the most pleasure? Do you like directing, acting, dancing? I mean, what's this? I mean, I have my answer, but I mean, what gives you the most pleasure?
The most pleasure would be acting. Yeah, hands down. Right. I love it. I love bringing a character to life and touching people's lives to help them and give them hope,
Right. I enjoy that. I enjoy that when it really clicks. When I'm really connected.
Yes.
I love direct. I'll tell you, directing to me for whatever reason, and I find it very interesting. I like the writing too. The
Yes,
writing
yes.
is awesome.
Yeah, because you can get really deep with the writing, and
That's
you
it.
can kind of create an amazing story, you know?
So what future projects are you? I mean, you said you're working on something new.
Yes. Well, private practice had ended,
Right.
so I came back here to the East Coast to be with my family again. And since I've been here, I've been getting back to my roots, which is I am part Italian and part Armenian.
Right.
And so I have a project that I am producing. It's called More Like Brothers. It's an Italian family film that has to do with a gentleman who gets involved in the mafia. And it takes place in the 1930s, and it's actually based in Camden, New Jersey, and it's based off of a true story. So yes, it
And
is. It is.
when is it planning to start shooting?
Well, we're shooting for a shoot date to begin in July.
Cool.
Right now we're putting together the budget. We were originally going for about $1 million budget, but now we're going for a little bit more than that because it is a period piece and we do want to do it the right way. And it's a great story. I helped them rewrite it too. I helped them
Awesome.
rewrite the script.
So what about? I mean, you have an agent?
Yes, I do.
Are they trying to get you to another private practice, or is that something?
They are. You know what? It's kind of interesting. Since I've been back, I had an amazing audition with ABC for a new television pilot that John Ridley was writing and producing. It was called Presence. And Presence was based off of a female co-insurgence operative who became a private investigator. And so they brought me in for the role, and they had specific details of what they wanted that actress to look like.
Right.
They wanted a little bit more of a more African-American look, so they wound up going with a girl who had that background.
Right.
But that was amazing. And Fox, you know, I've been on some really great pilot auditions and stuff like that. And then I was also, we just finished filming Mr. Robot, which I have fallen in love with. That is a great show.
Awesome.
Yeah.
But I think there's no feeling better than when you get that call after you auditioned and you got the part.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And usually, at least in the old days, and even up until I stopped auditioning for a while ago, but because I started producing my own show, so I don't really have that much time to audition. But every time someone would say either I look like De Niro or Pacino, I knew I always got the part. And even back in Hollywood, someone said, you know, you look like De Niro, and I got a commercial for Hitachi. Every time they said that, I always knew that I would get the part. So, but there's nothing. When you get that call, I mean, what is that like?
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's like years of blood, sweat, and tears come down to one phone call, and
Right.
it's all worth it.
I know.
It's all worth it.
And I only went to one acting class, and I wish I could remember in Hollywood. Once I got my part on Cagney and Lacey first, and then I started taking because I had a look, and then because it was a New York show, it was filming in L.A. So and then I took this acting class that was all cold reading. That's all it was, and the whole thing was to get the part, and that was the best class. I think anyway. I mean, the whole thing is in LA, the most important thing is to get the part.
Yes.
Once you get the part,
Right.
you got the part.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
So, but I wish I remembered I can't remember the teacher's name. 30 years ago, senior moment, but it was like a guy who used to be an actor, and we had people from The Bold and the Beautiful on our show.
Okay. You know, I was working with Bruce Glover, which is Crispin Glover's father.
I worked with Crispin Glover in a movie called My Tutor before
Okay.
Back to the Future.
Yeah. Oh, he was amazing.
But he was also weird.
Oh, God. Yes, he does that well.
Yes.
But his father's amazing. Bruce Glover is
I didn't
just.
know. So he's a teacher?
Oh yes, he's brilliant. The man is probably one of the best coaches I've worked with, at least in LA.
See, I didn't know anything about that.
Oh my gosh, he goes so deep, and he really brings up out of you who you are. That kind of gets lost. You know?
See, I never really got deep with the class. It was more like to make sure you look connected for the camera. That's all they were concerned about.
Oh,
it didn't matter what you guys were saying. It was just like it was almost like an improv class, even though we had lines. I mean, it was more being a connection thing.
Yes, I was going to say there's all different there's different classes for technique and that type of a thing. You know, being
But this
in
was
front of the
only
camera.
for auditions.
Okay.
And we had we had television actors. I mean, stars of shows coming to the class. Just so it was incredible. And we'd have like 40 people each, and they would always put a girl and a guy together, and that would be the scene. Always a girl and a guy together. So of course everyone came to class because they wanted to.
How ideal, how ideal.
That's it.
You know, you can never stop learning. It's like just life. That's how I look at life. I'm always learning. I learn from everyone and everything.
Do you ever think about teaching or?
You know, I did. When I was in California, in between the show, I was teaching 6th graders in the San Bernardino Valley at a charter school. It was like an after-school program, and I developed my own theater program for the kids who had stayed after school, and
That's awesome.
and I wrote a play for them, a theatrical production for them based on their personalities.
Do you use your psychology degree at all?
You know,
on the set, you know, helping people, you know, because actors are very sensitive people, right?
I believe as human beings, we all are.
Right.
The more creative we are, the more sensitive we are, because, you know, we go a lot deeper sometimes. And
we're more vulnerable too, because we let it all out. Right?
We are willing to feel and go places that normally in life we don't want to go to. You know what I mean? We don't want to feel certain things. We don't want to experience certain things, but actors go there. And you know, I had actually written a little post or a little, you know, blog for a friend of mine. His name's Ronnie Marmo. Great actor. He's on General Hospital back in the day and stuff like that. Anyway, he would get very upset when people would say, you know, acting isn't brain surgery. You know, ever heard that term? Acting isn't brain surgery. It's not brain surgery. Come on, you know, anybody can do it. And that really affected me too. So when he had mentioned that in one of his interviews, I wrote him a blog, and I, you know, commented on that it's actually deeper than brain surgery. It's actually like a spiritual surgery. As actors, we are willing to go to the places that not everyone wants to go to feel and go through emotions. And we're, in a way, we're touching people on a deeper level than, you know, is possible. You know, they don't have doctors' offices for you to go to. I mean, other than psychology and stuff like that, to heal your soul, you know, where you've been wounded, and you can't see that.
No, I hear you. I agree with you.
So that's why I embraced being an actress. That's why I love it so much, is because, you know, I'm able to touch people in ways that my words really can't, or forcing, you know, and telling someone and dictating to them or whatever. Sometimes we don't see them. We don't see that stuff. We see it in 2 hours in a movie theater as we're watching a movie, and we get lost in that character. And we see that there's hope, or we see that there's a way out, and in a way it heals us in some way. And we may never know how, but it does.
Well, I know how it healed me, because I used to get, I was blocked. And once I broke through that blockage, I was able to just, you know, then everything came to me. But for a long time, even I took, when I first started acting again after I'd taken 22 years off, I got an acting coach, and I couldn't get beyond the first words of my monologue. I just couldn't get there. And then finally, when I broke through, then everything started happening for me. So it was,
wow.
But that had been 22 years after I stopped acting. So it was like I was so afraid. And then I just let it go. You know, what's there to be afraid of? You know, what's the worst that could happen?
You know, life tends to do that to us. Life tends to cause us to build walls around us, and because of those walls, we stop feeling, we stop experiencing what it's like to be human. Right. You know.
And acting definitely makes you feel what. I mean, if you're really doing it, I mean, when you're at one with a character, forget it. There's nothing like it.
Yes, yes. It's the deepest form of being human, and it's difficult. So anyway, when I wrote this blog, I wrote it, you know, it's stating that, you know, the red carpet underneath our feet as actors, and the trophies that we win, or whatever the case is, it's not for that we do it. The red carpet actually represents the blood that we shed in order to go to these places and feel these emotions that normally in life we don't want to feel.
But how good does it feel once it's out of your system? I mean, that's the other thing, is like, it's just like release, you know, it's like, it's fantastic. The other thing I noticed about acting also, I mean, it happens, the adrenaline aspect of it, like, there's no pain, there's no cold, there's no hot. I mean, when you're acting, it's just like, it's like a different dimension almost I find myself in, if it's cooking, you know, if I'm doing it right. Because, you know, there've been times when I've filmed in New York when it's like 20 degrees outside, but I don't feel the cold, you know, because I'm just so much into that moment, you know, or if I'm, like now I'm suffering with a little bit of arthritis, but I don't feel it like right now because we're doing this. So this is like the thing in my life, all these things, whether it's this show or the other shows I do, that is the sweet spot in my life.
It's very healing. It really, really is. It really is. And I think that actors, you know, aren't given enough credit sometimes, you know.
Yeah. So what, besides, so do you ever think you'll do a feature? I mean, produce a feature or?
Well, that's what this one is.
Oh, this is a feature?
Yes. More Like Brothers is a feature length. Like I said, we're going for about
what am I talking about, $1 million short?
But yeah. I am the only person who's ever going to do $1 million short in the history of cinema.
Right.
No.
And what kind of cast are you looking at? You're looking at names?
Yes, we are.
That's
yes,
cool.
we are. Yes, we are.
How exciting is that?
It's very exciting because I actually, I especially love, you know, the Italian American actors that are out there. My family's name was actually in Moonstruck. The last name Camerari, that was my family's last name, and they had a bakery in Brooklyn. And Moonstruck, the guys in Moonstruck came to them and asked them to film in their bakery and if they could have their name. So when I was a little girl, I was so young, and I remember them, making the movie Moonstruck, and it was based around my Italian family. So.
And it's funny because the other person I interviewed today, we were talking about Danny Aiello, and again, I was friends with Danny Aiello's son, and he was in Moonstruck. I mean, he was a great actor.
He was just awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Hoboken International Film Festival.
I know, and I missed it. I
him.
wasn't there.
Oh, I was there with him.
I was so close
him.
with his son too. I would have loved to see him again.
He gave a wonderful speech too. His speech was just, it was so heartfelt.
Because of his son and all the stuff. It was, what a tragedy that was.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm trying to think, are you going to have any of the Sorvinos in the film?
Well, actually, Bill Sorvino's a good friend of mine, and I had, offered him a chance to look at the script. Still waiting to hear back. So we'll see. We'll see if they're interested.
I know, because Bill's part of the whole family of the John Thomas and JT family.
Oh yes, yeah. It is. It is a small world, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see if he's interested. I'd love to have him a part of it.
Yeah.
And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's great. I wish you so much success. I'll put it that way.
Thank
It's not. I mean, you're going to do it.
I say, don't say the L word. Don't say luck.
No, success. I wish you only success because you got it. You have the psychology, you have the positivity, you got the looks, you got the talent, you got it. I think it's gonna. I know. I mean, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great.
It has been. It really has. Every moment.
And it's only just begun.
It's only beginning. Yes. Yes.
So the future looks great.
Thank you.
That's awesome. I can't wait. Will you come on the show again once you?
Oh my gosh! Of course.
That's
yes.
Good.
Yes.
And maybe you could bring the crew.
All right.
Bring Bill over. I'd like to meet Bill.
Yes, I will bring.
I've never
met
met Bill yet.
Huh?
I've not met Bill yet.
Oh,
I'd
you
like
haven't?
no, but I know that he's friends with everybody.
See if I can get him on here for you. If he's
Get Joey
interested in coming.
Pantoliano in the show. That would be nice.
Okay.
Yeah, because he worked actually in a Ken Kushner. Do you know Ken?
Ken, yes.
Yeah, he worked in a film that we just recently did, Joey. So maybe you can get Joey to come in. That would be good. Because he was in Sopranos, and he was in Matrix and all this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm a very big fan of his. He's good. Very good actor.
Yeah, he'd be cool to.
Yeah, okay.
That's
okay.
it. You should ask. Oh well, it's your show, not mine.
That's it. I have to get him because he said so.
Right. So other than this, is there any other projects that you're working on?
Let's see. There are some things in the works. I was up for First Avail for Coca-Cola nationwide print ad to be the face of Coca-Cola.
Cool.
So I'm waiting to hear from that. I do have, what else? I said Mr. Robot. That's coming out, I think, in July.
Have you done commercials at all? Or
I have done commercials. I did commercials when I was backup dancing for Mariah Carey, back when I was dancing. So I did commercials for MTV. Right. I did a bunch of commercials for MTV. And a lot of other stuff here and there along the way, but recently, not so much.
That's a tough thing to break into. I mean, I've had a couple of commercials. I had a couple of national commercials, which is great. But I have only one friend that gets constantly called back for commercials, and I'm so jealous of him, I have to say. Even though I love the guy, desperately. He's the one who actually got me back into acting again. And he's also the guy that gave me the 2 national commercials. But this guy, I don't know. I mean, he's very talented, but he's got the right connections, and and he's got the right talent.
I love it when people inspire us. When we find people along our journey of life, and they inspire us to come back this way.
I'll tell you, he made my initial performance after not acting for 22 years such an easy transition back. It was like, thank you.
Really?
I mean, oops. Yeah, thanks.
Oh my gosh. And because the reason why I said that was because I think I shared with you before that for many years I kind of avoided being an actress because of, all the stuff that goes along with it, the cameras following you around and paparazzi and all that stuff. So I was like, I really don't want to be in the spotlight, but I love doing it. So I like I said, I went to college, got my degree, and did other things aside from just, acting all the time. But what was my point? My point was that every so often, someone would come across my path that would say, Danielle, this is what you were created to do. It is everything about you, and why are you not doing it more, or why are you not pursuing it more? And I was like, I'm
and
doing
those are the
this,
people that care the most about you.
Yeah.
But even the people that care the most about you sometimes have some bad things to say, and there's only one thing left to say.
What's that?
That's a wrap. Good night, folks.